Good afternoon and welcome to the Seneca County IDA. We have two meetings today, the regular Seneca County IDA meeting and also the Seneca County Funding Corporation. We'll start today with the Seneca County Funding Corp meeting. First item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from March 23rd, 2023. We each received a copy of the minutes. Any changes, corrections, or?
None.
None. Therefore, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Second item is the discussion of the engagement letter. So, Sarah?
So we received an engagement letter from Mengel, Metzger and Barr to do our 2023 audit. You will see in the engagement letter, which has already gone to our Funding Corp Audit Committee for review, that their fee will not exceed $2,400 for the audit and then $700 for the supplemental work related to Paris reporting. So what we need is a motion to approve the engagement letter.
So moved.
I'll second. Have a roll vote. So Kelly?
Mr. Brusso?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item is the presentation of the budget for 2024.
Okay, so this is also brief and was also reviewed by the Funding Corp Audit Committee. So our proposed budget for 2024 shows no revenue in the Funding Corp, $5,100 in total expenses, $3,100 of that being for the audit, $1,000 being for legal, which we don't typically spend, and then another $1,000 for special fees and miscellaneous. Questions?
No
Questions? No questions? So therefore, motion to approve the budget for posting to Paris.
So moved.
I'll second. Kelly?
Mr. Brusso?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Any other business?
No.
No need for executive session. So could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carried. So we've completed the Seneca County Funding Corp meeting. We are still waiting for a quorum. We'll need one more person.
Actually, close that door?
No, so I guess we'll just pause for now until.
I mean, I suppose I can start talking about the things that are on our agenda that don't require votes, since I don't think we'll have the time to get through them today, but we might as well talk about them since we're here and live streaming.
Although, are we live streaming?
We are still live streaming. I can't turn it off if you'd like.
No, that's fine.
So maybe we'll go through the third quarter report. I know we're jumping out of order, but again, this is just a review item. So there are some things actually that I wasn't able to include, mostly because of the timing of when this report was written and when it was sent out. This was included in the briefing memo that was sent to you all on Tuesday. So highlights, we can start with maybe key metrics. And just as a reminder on key metrics, we always measure our business retention and expansion visits. And then we have various project statistics, including number of projects in our pipeline, applications received, public hearings held, final resolutions. Okay, so what you're looking at in Q3, we've done 56 business visits to date. Our year-end goal is 65, so we're well on track to meet that goal this year. We have 40 projects in our pipeline, 2 that we've received applications for, 3 public hearings that we've held, and 3 final resolutions passed, and that's partially because one of those 3 final resolutions was a project that submitted an application and had its hearing at the end of last year, and then the finals, or submitted the application, then the hearing, and the final approvals happened this year. So that was for 3 solar projects, Carnegie Solar, Lodi PV, and Lodi 2 PV Solar were those 3. The other big thing that I wanted to draw to everybody's attention, Monday night, we held the second public input session for the Willard campus. MRB presented the draft concept site plan for Willard. And so all of that information is now publicly available on our website, senecacountyida.org. It includes a recording of the presentation. So you won't be able to see necessarily the presenters always in the frame, but you can hopefully hear them okay. That went very well. We had over 70 attendees that came to that meeting. It wasn't quite as well attended as our first meeting where we had over 100, but still very good turnout. We are encouraging those either that were there or were not there to review the materials on our website and to continue to send us comments and feedback either by email or through the contact us form on our website. And we'll be passing those along to MRB. So they showed, and we have copies of it in our office if anybody wants to see a big hard copy of the site concept plan. Essentially divided the campus into about 7 zones that they have broken down into various recommended uses, but again, it's all very draft concept form at this point, and we wanted to make sure that the public is aware that this should be an evolutionary thing, that we want to continue to still engage with them, and that nothing is final yet, even though we will be having a quote-unquote final presentation in mid-November, approximately November 13th, I believe. It'll be a joint official IDA and Board of Supervisors meeting. Yeah, Ben?
Do we know where, like it says South Seneca High School, but is it gonna be in the cafeteria or the auditorium?
I believe it'll be in the auditorium. I'm waiting on final confirmation from the school district before we do, official widespread publication of everything, but it seems pretty concrete that it'll be November 13th at 5 in the auditorium at South Seneca. That, again, we will promote to the public, and then that will be sort of the final meeting related specifically to the highest and best use study, but it certainly won't be the final time we'll do a public meeting related to Willard. Just kind of the end of this first phase of study progress. So that's really the highlights, unless I know quite a few of you were there, unless anybody has anything they want to share or comment on regarding the presentation Monday. Yeah.
So I thought it was a very well done, I thought. They had, the task force had gotten a preview. Task force offered some feedback. The feedback was incorporated. I think the way they had segmented each, or 7 different parts of the 550 acre site made sense. I think the people in the room who have strong sort of affinity and commitments to the area were fairly satisfied that it was thorough and it was balanced. I think to me the main takeaway from it was what next? And the lead person on the MRB team, Michael Andolo, had a slide which I think everyone should take some time to look at. Sarah has it out on the website for the IDA. It's all very transparent, it's all very public. But the steps that follow really are pretty important, and that is, it comes down to whether or not we assume control of that site, and what kind of obligations does that entail, particularly financial. And then 2, if we were to conclude to assume control in the county, what kind of entity would that be? It looks like it would be an independent entity that does that. And then what is the role of that independent entity? Michael Andolo, the MRB lead, recommended that what's called a master developer be identified, which is a very large real estate development company that can handle projects of this size. That's as opposed to looking at each of these segments and saying, if you're looking for affordable, moderate income housing in part 5, go find the housing people that can do that and let them do it in part 5. If you want to do a conference center, a retreat center on the waterfront, look for a hospitality company, conference center, retreat center big company. Michael Andolo's recommendation was, you won't get a really serious developer for a waterfront property if they're not really sure what's going to be next door. which made sense. And so I think we need to be thinking, at least be aware that if we proceed, as I hope we can, we may not be able to, but I hope we can, is that we're now going to be looking at some fairly large entities to come in and, commit a certain amount of money to develop, but it needs to be along a development model that we all feel comfortable with. Everything so far, I think, has been, again, hats off to Sarah in particular in getting MRB going, getting this RFP out, getting the reviews done, getting them on track. I think in a year, we'll go from having, oh, what do we do now, to here's a plan. And I think I would like not to let us lose momentum on it. I think part of what MRB has said is other areas that have tried this just haven't been able to get out of their own way. And we still may not be able to get out of our own way on it, but we're much further along in 1 year than others have been. So, I think it's really positive.
Yeah. And I think, one thing that I was, pleased and impressed with is, MRB emphasizing, I don't know how many times during the presentation, this is being developed, with the community, by the community, approval by the community. It's not a consultant goes out and thou shalt do this. It's a true community plan needing community support and community effort.
And buy-in.
And buy-in. So, and I think that's, certainly it's not being someone just coming up and saying, I know best, do this. So I think it's,
It is possible, though, that if you get a deep-pocketed so-called master developer, they will say, I know this is what you want, but if you want me to do this, we're gonna do it a little differently. So we, I think, need to be prepared for that.
But the money for those services will have to come from the county, if the county assumes ownership of it?
So.
It won't be coming from us.
For what services? You mean like?
For the master planner,
Well,
anybody that's gonna come in there.
The remediation, there's a lot of money.
There's a lot of questions to be asked about who's gonna own it first.
Precisely. The expectation, I think there's a strong feeling that it should be Seneca County, but what does that mean in terms of financial obligations for Seneca County? How much will the state kick in? How much will the federal government kick in? How much will the county kick in? Because it has to have skin in the game of some kind. So, there's the IDA, and there's the chamber, there's other people, everybody's gotta have skin in the game, I think, but. that's
Well,
just-
and I'm expecting in their final report that they're gonna have some hard numbers, not hard numbers, budget numbers, to say, this is what it could cost.
Right now, Docs, who owns it, says it costs $4 million to run it annually. A lot of people wonder how that number really can be quite so large.
Right.
So how you get under the hood to figure out how do you do, that's a question.
Yeah.
It's not $4 million.
No, but MRB should be giving us a better view of that as part of their final recommendations as far as, maintenance, annual maintenance and operating costs, plus estimates of what, funding opportunities are available. We're already aware there's quite a bit of state money. I think if you boil, things down in the end, a lot of it hopefully will be state supported quite significantly. I think there will be some opportunities for the federal government. It's probably gonna be a little bit smaller. Their programs tend to be very specific and in some ways kind of niche. But the state has a lot of funding, especially for infrastructure things and a lot of the public enhancements that are being recommended, like rebuilding the pier and those kinds of things. I think there'd be a lot of state support and then, hopefully funding from the county and other local sources as well. But I did also get the sense, like you said, Steve, that people on Monday night, they were very positive in their comments afterward as far as feeling like, oh, they actually took what I said at the first meeting and, I can see where it's showing up in this plan. So that's good that the public is acknowledging that and realizing that, and hopefully they continue to stay engaged. Hi, Ralph. Good timing. So maybe we shift gears and go back to our items that we'll need votes on.
So, we have a quorum. Everyone's busy season, so thank everyone for showing up. We'll go ahead first now to item number 4 on the agenda, which is the discussion of the Seneca Storage and Transloading Grant application.
Yeah, so we're actually gonna, we talked about this previously. So Mr. Martin has started a new company, Seneca Storage and Transloading at the depot, essentially wants to rehab the existing rail lines there to help grow that business, provide steel and propane and other things to service the galvanizing plant that the IDA supported a few years ago, but also to support some of the other projects that we've been involved in, Keystone Mills, and then other local goods. So one change I want to note that would be needed to this, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but actually we would need to change the language to be Deer Haven Park because that's technically the owner of the land. That's something we were made aware of by the company that is helping put together this grant application. So essentially this passenger and freight rail assistance program is a New York State DOT grant program. It will fund 100% of the costs, but the company is not eligible to apply because they are not an actual railroad company registered through DOT. They would just be a shipper. And so in that case, they need to go through another eligible entity in order to access the funding. In that case, the IDA is eligible to apply for funding as a public authority and public benefit corporation. So I guess jump in with questions if anybody has.
Has anybody had a conversation with Finger Lakes Railway about all this?
So the company has been having conversations with Finger Lakes Rail. This does not directly impact, obviously this project doesn't directly impact Finger Lakes rail lines. This is only the rail lines that are on the depot property itself. But obviously they would need to have an agreement to interconnect with Finger Lakes Rail, and Finger Lakes Rail would be shipping the materials, and then it would be switching hands at the property boundary.
I think Mr. Keim asked that question last time about the amount of upgrades the tracks would need from wherever they're coming from to get to the depot. They need a lot of upgrade and maintenance on those tracks to handle the loads that would be coming in. That's my question about Finger Lakes Rail. Are they agreed to do their part before?
So John Gadsby is here. He is with Seneca Storage and Transloading, and so he's here to answer the questions you have. So John.
Yeah, we have reached out to Finger Lakes. They will service us at their current weight ratings, so we can't exceed their posted weight ratings, obviously. But that line actually, I was a roadmaster on that branch. It's very heavy rail, and it's got really pretty decent tie conditions, so there should be no issues with bringing commodities up there. I know Finger Lakes was storing loaded cars on the depot already. So there shouldn't be any issues with servicing that. We're working through an agreement with them now. We haven't discussed going after this grant with them yet, but we kind of were short notice on getting this put in to get it out.
This is a pass-through for us. Do we collect any fees on this? Just a straight pass-through?
Just a straight pass-through. Other questions?
Seems fairly straightforward. When would this be done? How long would this take to do?
In the grant application, we put in the work would be finished in 2025, estimated about 1 to 2 years, depending on when the grant was awarded and whether it was in the winter season and we had to wait for the ground to thaw, or if it comes out during the winter and we can get right on it. I anticipate we could finish it in the first year.
How much time would it take to accomplish that work?
We could accomplish that work in 1 construction season, but I was protecting the second construction season in case the notice to proceed came later in the season.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, have a motion to approve the resolution for the grant application.
With the amendment of the name.
With the
to
amendment
Deer
of the name.
Haven.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll?
Mr. Brusso?
Yes.
Mr. Guthrie?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Tom Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley, Mr. Keim, and Mr. Brownell absent, motion carried.
Next item on the agenda will be item number 5, for discussion and approval of the engagement letter for Mendel Metzer Bar Raymond Wagner, our accountants.
Yep, so this is the engagement letter for Mengel Metzger Bar to do our 2023 audit. The rate that they are proposing would be $11,950 for our regular audit, and then $2,075 for our single audit. That's for our revolving loan program, for a total of $14,025. That's an increase of $675 over the previous year. The audit committee has reviewed this and is recommending approval by the full IDA board.
So, any questions on this?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Yep.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Kelly?
Mr. Brusso?
Yes.
Mr. Guthrie?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Tom Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Shipley, Mr. Keim, and Mr. Brownell absent, motion carried.
Okay, we'll skip ahead to number 7, presentation of the proposed 2024 IDA budget.
Okay, so I'm just really gonna review with you all, in the interest of time, the 2024 budget line, and I will try to point out areas where we're projecting significant increase or change from what has been previously. So on the revenue side, you'll see we have approximately 1.3 million budgeted for agency fees. That's largely attributed to Trelina, which we still have not officially closed on that project. Apologies. We have not officially closed on that project yet, but expect to likely, I believe, in fall of 2024. 54,000 for county support, 100,000 for Del Lago, I believe 2024, if I'm not mistaken, is the last year for that payment. And then you'll see we've got 6,200 in RLF income. That would be just interest only. And then IDA interest income of 48,000, which is a lot more significant than what we've had in the past. Higher interest rates mean we're getting better returns on our CDs, and we have 2 of those that renew every 6 months. For a total operating revenue of approximately $1.529 million for 2024. On the expense side of things, we're looking at total operating expenses of $510,000. The breakdown is roughly $214 for payroll, $133 benefits, $101 for professional fees and services. Those are all more or less on target where they've been in the past. General office, again, is the same, $12,300 on target with where it's been in the past. Admin and technical at $14,520. You'll notice that the dues and subscriptions is at $10,000. That is more than what we've had in the past couple years, but that's due to the changes that we made to our chart of accounts, where we moved things like our GRE dues, which used to be a marketing expense or classified as marketing expense, to a dues expense. Insurance, $4,200, miscellaneous, $2,000, travel and conferences, $5,000, repairs and maintenance. This was a significant change, $10,500. That's due to the Excelis building, so those are basically our baseline estimates of maintenance on a building that is vacant that we would continue to own. $5,000 for marketing and promotion, and then $8,000 in RLF expense. Then we've got other income and other expenses. We don't have anything budgeted on the other income. That's mostly because we would still need to really wait on the highest and best use study for Willard before determining what grants realistically we could apply for and what the timeline would be on those. On the other expense side, it's a little bit vague, but we did put $50,000 in site development. just as kind of a placeholder. Obviously, we would come to the board to consult for anything, but that would be in the event that we wanted to start looking for a new industrial park site again, or if we had some Willard expenses or other things that came up, it was sort of just a budget item to hold there. What we did talk about briefly was, because obviously Willard has been a big undertaking for us, and that is still very much, as of this point of our budget approval, an unknown. We had talked about, for internal purposes, once we had more information, doing a separate budget sort of just around that project, to give everybody a better idea of expectations for that. So keep an eye out. Any questions on 2024 budget?
Hearing none, you have a motion to approve the budget so we can post the PERS.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Kelly?
Mr. Brusso,
Yes.
Mr. Guthrie,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Tom Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Lot,
Yes.
Mr. Brownell, Mr. Keim, Mr. Shipley, absent, motion carried.
Maybe if we can skip back really quick in the interest of time, get the votes for our minutes and our financials.
Yes. So, in your packet, we did have a special IDA meeting on August 29th, and we have the minutes. Any either questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, motion to approve the minutes for the special IDA meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carried. Second is the approval of the IDA meeting minutes from our regular meeting, September 7th. Again, everyone received a copy of the minutes in their packet. Any changes or comments? Hearing none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, motion carried. So next, the IDA financial statements.
I will review these briefly for you all in Bob Kernan's absence. So we'll start with our balance sheet. Really, the only significant changes you will notice on the balance sheet assets, our operating cash decreased by just about $54,000 due to a net loss on the month, mostly because we didn't have much in the way of revenue. We did have an increase in cash in our CD. That's because one of our 6-month CDs renewed in August, so we had just over $11,000 in revenue from that. And then we had another $3,300 in cash into the revolving loan fund come in because of the regular payments from Best Made and Schrader Farms. On the profit and loss statement side, interest income, again, that's where the CD income would be on the profit and loss side of things. So we went from $8,200 to over $19,000 between July and August. Repairs and maintenance on the expense side is the only real significant change there. That went up by about $2,500. Again, that's because of the added expenses of water and things over at the Excelis building. And then under other expenses, government grants, you will see we spent an additional $21,000 in the month of August. That is the ongoing work that MRP is doing on the highest and best use study. We will see some of that come back to us in the form of other income once we get reimbursement from the county's ARPA funds and from the state grant that we have. Those are really the highlights. Any questions about anything on the financials?
Hearing none, just need a motion to approve the financial statement.
I move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, motion carried. Guess we have the long-term forecast is the only.
Yeah, and then depending on what everybody's appetite is to stay in executive session, if we can manage it. If not, that's okay. So quickly to go through the long-term forecast for the IDA, we have 2 different scenarios that we show. Again, twice a year we do this with our audit in March, and we do this with our budget approval. So the first page that you'll see is our worst case, which is known revenues against budgeted expenses. So again, you'll see that the budget that you all approved is in that, second or third column, and then 2025 is really where we start the forecasting. The Del Lago income you'll see drops off as there's zero under rental income, so we're only showing in year 2025 known operating revenues of 90,000, but we're showing, estimated operating expenditures of 577,000, which would obviously leave us with a considerable deficit. We project out through 2029 in this model. At that point, we would still expect to have approximately 619,000 in cash available. Again, that's largely because of the significant agency fees that we have currently budgeted for the next couple of years. On our slightly better case scenario, I guess you could say, where we forecast $400,000 in operating revenue. Obviously, things are much better picture. We still would have depleting cash on hand through 2029, but we would have, 2.18 million as opposed to 619,000. So just to give you all a sense of where we would be. Questions?
Yeah, any questions on this? The next item we do is go into executive session. Probably, we could probably do like no more than about 10 minutes
If everybody is willing and has the time
to do that.
Yes, she just texted me, I got 3/4 of a load on before I gotta get to the depot, so I'm okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I request a motion to enter into the executive session for discussion of the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property where publicity could substantially affect the value thereof.
So moved to go in.
Yeah,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. So we're we're out of executive session. There's no action taken because of executive session. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.